Our first story, a flash flood in Toccoa, Georgia. Toccoa Falls is one of North Georgia's most beautiful spots. In 1977, an earthen dam upstream from the falls held back the waters of Barnes Lake. When the dam broke on November 6th of that year, the waters of Barnes Lake rushed over the top of those falls, some say at 150 miles per hour. Below the falls was Toccoa Bible College. When the dam broke at 1:30 Saturday morning, most of the students and faculty were asleep. 39 people died. Heavy rains had fallen for days. Flash flood watches were issued on Thursday, and the Weather Service issued a flood statement on Saturday night about possible problems with earthen dams in the area, yet few were aware of the statements or the risks. Thurman Kemp was one of the victims. He still lives in the area, and more than a decade later, he remembers that night.
It was, of course, dark, and all we could do was just hold on. And as the walls crashed in and the glass came through and the floor disappeared, and I had a hold of my oldest son and my wife had a hold of my youngest son, and then the water just crashed through and just washed us out, and we were gone. And they went in one direction and we went in another, and we didn't see each other again for 5-6 hours, and each one thought the other was dead.
Did you have any warning?
Absolutely none. We knew that the water was high in the creek, but it wasn't over the banks, and happens all the time anyway. Every time it rains extremely hard, this creek gets completely full, and that's nothing strange, but we didn't anticipate the dam being broke. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know it was up there at the time.
But there was a dam built on this site in 1887. There was a huge ridge of Georgia red clay, reinforced by wooden pilings bolted to these rocks. Now, only sections of the ridge remain, with a V-shaped gash in the center, the wound cut by the pressure of 176 million gallons of water. The home of the David Eby family was ripped from its foundations and sent spinning down the valley, with Eby, his wife, and their 3 children clinging to it. Mercifully, it caught at this bend in the valley and wasn't smashed against the mountain.
The house came to rest on where an old dormitory was, and it stayed there for the duration of the flood. And Kim and I were up on top of the house, and we sat up there, and one of the first things that Kim and I said to each other was the fact that probably Barbara and Kevin and Kelly were gone. We were by ourselves. And because there were so many pine trees that were lining this creek then that were breaking, and I could see the music building breaking up in the water, it sounded like jet engines, real loud noise. Was about to the second floor of that dormitory. I felt sort of uncertain about our safety, and we weren't but about probably 10 or 15 feet away from the little mountain. And Kim and I decided we'd jump off the back of the house and get over to safety. And when we did, we jumped on a partition that was floating there, and it fell apart. And Kim and I went under the house. We were separated. And probably just a matter of a few moments, I popped up out of the water, and Kimberly came up at the same time together. And she got back on my back and put her arms around my neck and told me, she said, "Dad, don't let me go again." And she was sort of laughing, which probably was nervous laughter, and it made me really determined at that point to do something to get to safety. And we started hollering for Barbara and Kevin and Kelly. And we happened to come up right in front of the front door, and they were just inside the front door. So I crawled in the house, and for the remainder of the flood, we sat there together.
When a disaster is totally unexpected, the loss of life is often high, and the recovery period, physically and mentally, is lengthy and difficult. It's likely to result in a couple of unique complications.
One is the suddenness of the disaster. It's terribly sudden, terribly unexpected, terribly unusual in that particular community. It has much more of an impact on their ability to feel safe, to feel secure as they always have previously, that this could suddenly then happen in their community. It kind of takes a little bit of that underpinning of their foundations. It shakes them. The other is that those who have lost friends or relatives within their community, that grieving process takes a long, long time.
But if you know a 90-year-old dam sits precariously above your community, if you've even considered the possibility for disaster, you'll handle the situation more effectively.
Well, first of all, you've been thinking about the possibility. You are cognizant that this could occur and that it will affect you, your family, your work situation, your children's school. So if you understand this intellectually, you can make some pretty important choices.
Thurman Kemp lost his 7-year-old son, Chris, that terrible night. He believes one choice he might have made differently was where to live.
I don't think people can prepare enough for things like this. We live in dangerous places, and we don't think about the danger. We always think about how nice it is and how pretty it is, stuff like that. But I think it's about time people begin to think, well, you know, what could happen? I mean, we could look at try to think about what may be out there that can do some harm to us, and then be prepared for it the best we can.
But there are times when the potential for catastrophe looms clearly on the horizon. Will people respond too late, or will they act in time? That's next on Calm to Catastrophe.